for Freeman, and it's incomplete. Or did he make the catch at the 15? Yeah. What are they going to rule it? He caught it? Touchdown! He did what?
The end zone. It is caught for the win. Richard Rodgers with a walk-off touchdown. Total disbelief at Ford Field.
Rushes on, has time. Looking, throws, middle, got us there. Breaking free to the 50. He may go all the way to the 20 down the right side. And it's Randall Cobb to the 5, to the end zone, to the touchdown. Oh my goodness.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Green and Golden Boys Packers podcast, the podcast for Packers fans living in enemy territory. I am Marcus, and with me is Charles.
Hey-o.
And Charles, Sunday Night Football, the Green Bay Packers against the Chicago Bears, the oldest rivalry in the NFL.
The Bears
Is this
going
to be a good game?
The Bears still suck. The Bears still... Oh.
They do suck, it seems, this year, on offense for sure. I think they have the 31st ranked offense in the NFL, but they still have a top 5 or top 6 defense. And sometimes, in November, outside, a great defense is enough to get you a win. Do you buy that? Do you think the Bears have a shot in this game?
I mean, I buy that. We'll get to predictions much later in this episode, but I mean, just look as far back as last year, where, obviously it was LaFleur's first game, and the world has changed 3 times over since week 1 last year, but, I mean, that was a defensive battle that, what was it, 10-13 or something like that? So those games are definitely possible. I don't know if I'll predict that route, but hey, man, outdoor games, divisional games, cold, it's just anything can happen. Anything can happen. They beat the Bucks. I know the Bucks have been up and down this year, but they won in a 1-point match, to your point, close, 20-19. So that's kind of like the biggest thing on their resume right now is they have a big-time win. But I think to your point, that was a defensive battle, I'm sure, that week because the Bucs have a pretty solid defense. So in those outdoor, it was, in October in Chicago, outdoor defensive battles, if the offense isn't clicking, it could be a grind and it could be a closer nail biter than we really want it.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. I'm looking at their schedule right now, and yeah, the Bucks game is definitely interesting. I think that that contributed to us thinking the Packers were gonna be able to dominate the Bucks, and obviously that was completely the opposite case.
Yeah.
But this Colts game is interesting too because the Colts beat them, but they only beat them by 8 points. It was a low scoring game, 19-11. The Colts were able to keep the Bears to an 11-point game, and that's interesting to me for a couple reasons, because the Bears have a pretty bad offense, and I guess I would think by then the number 1 defense in the league, the Colts would have been able to hold them to fewer points, but okay, 11 points is still pretty good for a defense.
Yeah, looking at the schedule. Looking at the schedule, I was going to say, I mean, they just lost to the Saints, and I think when you're looking at their whole season so far. The Saints, the way they're playing now, by the way, they're a lot better than when we played them in the first couple weeks of the season. I think that's more indicative of how this game could look, just because the Saints are a little bit more high-powered offense with Drew Brees. Obviously, he's gone, but the Colts and the Bucks in particular, those are defensive-minded teams where the Packers definitely aren't. So I don't know if I would look to those 2 games necessarily as how you think the Packers Bear game might go.
Okay, that's a good point. How do you think our offense is going to fare against this tough Bears defense? I mean, we've played them, several times over the last couple of years, but a lot's changed to your point earlier.
So I think I think it's going to be a fantastic matchup, assuming they are all healthy. It looks like the Packers are probably going to be healthy. Full disclosure, everyone, we are recording this kind of midday Wednesday because of the holiday. So of course, the final injury report is not released on Friday, and we don't even have the first injury report yet. The Bears had a bye this past week, so they had some time to get healthy. I know Hakeem Hicks left the game a little bit early 2 weeks ago with an injury. I'm assuming he will be back, and obviously Khalil Mack is there. If we allow the Bears to do what the Bucs did to us and just really get under Aaron's skin and frustrate him, and we can't establish a rhythm offensively within the run game, or give Aaron some time in the pocket, I think it could be a really long day for Green Bay. So I think our key to success offensively is going to be kind of like what I was saying this last week about getting those first 4 yards on that first play and first down, is getting the ball out of Aaron's hand quickly and not sitting back and allowing the Bears' fantastic, best in the league front three and front four to get under Aaron's skin. Because if he's sitting back there for more than 3 seconds with the ball in his hand, it's going to be a long night, I think, with about a lot of hurry ups and a dirty jersey for Aaron.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've seen this Bears defense get after Rodgers, time and time again, especially since they've acquired Khalil Mack. So if Aaron can just, again, take what the defense gives him, whether that's a 3-yard screen to Aaron Jones or Robert Tonyan over the middle, take it. I think this is especially a game where, a pass rushing defense is going to make life really tough for him if he holds onto the ball for a long time.
For sure. And ironically, the play that lost the game for us this last week, right? That quick screen pass out to the wide receiver. MVS obviously dropped the ball this last week, but those types of plays, right? Get one-on-ones, get the ball in the hands of some of our receivers that can make the corners, force the corners to make a play. Don't let Khalil and Hicks beat us, because I think that's a losing recipe for sure.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, we obviously don't have the injury report. One guy we saw last week a little bit, to my surprise, was Allen Lazard. I thought they had just activated him because they had to. I didn't think he was going to play. He got a couple snaps and a couple of catches, but do you think he's got an increased role this week? And do you think that's going to be a key to the offense's success?
For sure. And I think Swerve and Irvin as well. If those two guys are back, I think we're going to get more pre-snap motion, which will hopefully keep their linebackers on their back heels, right? And kind of have some misdirection there. And then, I would love to see Allen Lazard get into the game plan a little bit more, and kind of play that role of Randall Cobb back in the day, right? Of these quick, tough passes that are fast moving and quick, so we don't have to sit back, and I don't see the deep ball to MVS happening as a game plan, right? If we set it up throughout the game with play actions and stuff, of course, but I just don't want to see Aaron, again, I keep coming back to the same point. I don't want to see him have the ball in his hand for more than a handful of seconds, just because of how afraid I am of Khalil Mack and this fantastic defensive front.
Yeah, and to your point, I mean, if we can get a couple of plays in the first half and maybe set that up for the second half, where maybe they're not rushing, as heavily against Rodgers, and maybe their linebackers are dropping back a little bit, and there's no blitz, then we can maybe talk about that. I think we're going to probably see it as a decoy early on in the game for sure, and kind of draw some of that, their fastest corner and some safety help, and maybe open up the inside of the field a little bit. Because again, he's super fast. They've got to respect that. He's caught a bunch of those in the past. He caught, one or two last week. So it's something that the defense is going to have to respect. But I don't want, especially early on, for him to be waiting 4 seconds for MVS to run 50 yards and then, have Akeem Hicks or Khalil Mack like right on his heels.
For sure, and maybe all that does is, to your point, if he still takes that route, that just opens up that 10-yard out for Devontae, who had a couple of those plays, in last week's game where he just found that soft spot in the first half at least, in the Colts defense, because MVS was flying straight down the field and he was pulling those safeties back, and then that kind of gave Devontae that one-on-one opportunity in the middle of the field.
Yep, and against the Colts, Phillip Rivers had a completion on a third down where they set a natural pick, and as much as it stings to get hit with that by the opposition, I really like that play. I'm hoping to see a little bit more of that, and I think with Allen Lazard back, it gives us a couple different options because he's a big receiver, and he could definitely stop a linebacker from running with Devontae Adams, for example, open him up with a natural pick type of play. So I like to see that a little bit. What about our defense? I mean, what do you see, or I should say, what do you see as a key matchup or a key to success this week?
Yeah, I mean, I think we already kind of hit on this right at the beginning of the show, but the Bears don't score points. They're almost, inept. And also, by the way, we don't know who we're playing against in terms of the quarterback. Nick Foles got hurt late in the game, not this past week because they had a bye, but the week before. And Mitch Trubisky has been on the bench since week 4 of the season, and has also been dealing with injury problems. I forget who their third string quarterback is right now, but there is a very small chance that that's who we're going to be playing. So in terms of defense, I think if we're just our average old selves, that should be enough. Now, I want to see some turnovers, of course. I want to see us not turn David Montgomery, who should be playing this week because he just cleared concussion protocol today. I want to see us make him look like the average running back he is, top 65 yards, right? If all of a sudden we do what we did with Taylor last week, where we give him 90 yards, pushing 100, another recipe for success. We can't be in a situation where an average running back in David Montgomery is slowly running the ball down the field and keeping Aaron Rodgers on the bench. So if we keep, like I said, keep our mediocre selves, let the Bears self-destruct the way they have in the past, right? In the past this season, this should be a game that the matchups work very, very well for us. Their best case scenario right now is their returning running back who hasn't proven anything yet this year. And I, for once, don't want to be the team that is giving the opposing running back their breakout game of the season.
Right. Exactly. All right. I'm going to say what we need to do is, as far as a key to success, is going to be protect the football. First and foremost. To your point, win the turnover battle, get a couple hopefully on defense, but don't give the ball away. Don't give the Bears a short field like we did to the Colts. I mean, we probably spotted them 150 yards on Sunday, and that was really frustrating. I don't want to see the same thing happen this week. Protect the football, get back to the fundamentals. Just don't give the ball away. Don't make, bad decisions with the ball for Aaron throwing it. Don't throw it behind guys where it can get, tipped and picked, and then just I don't know. That's my one for a key to success. What about a specific player? Is there somebody that you think has to have a big game in order for the Packers to be successful?
I want to specifically say no. At least in terms of offensively. And the reason why I'm going to say no is because I want it to not be a one-dimensional game. So I guess by definition, I have to say like Aaron Jones or something, so we can say we can establish the run. But again, we haven't quite seen this in a winning effort yet. Offensively, I want to see Aaron throw the ball to MVS and Lazard, specifically early with some very quick and easy plays. And I would love to see them each have 40 to 60 yard games. I don't want to see us target Devontae heavily, so I don't want to pick Devontae at all. And then of course you wouldn't mind to see a catch or two out of our tight ends, whoever it might be. So specifically on our offense, I really don't want to have any one player have a breakout game. And it sounds weird to say, but that's because I really want to see the ball spread around, and I really want to see these two receivers who have kind of struggled this year get some confidence with some easy catches. Defensively,